But we can actually compress we can compress the bass. Let's test that out. So I think it could probably use a little bit of compression. Let's use the FG401, which is a great LA2A style compressor. And let's do kind of a fast attack to grab those transients, but let's slow up the release to let the notes sustain. And let's do like a 3 or 4 to 1 ratio, nothing too crazy. And we'll put on 100% mix. We'll keep the makeup gain now. Well, let's dial back the threshold. Let's see if we can do 3 to 5 dB of compression here. That's before. After. Pulls it a little more forward. Very subtle, and that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't feel like it really needed it, and maybe that's why I didn't add it. But you can play with that. You can play with different style compressors. There's lots of compressors. Like if we didn't want to use this, and let's say, what if we wanted to do like an 1176 on this one? Let's see what that would do. Let's just pick a preset. Does it have anything for bass? Sure it does. Let's do a preset, see what we get. Really pulls it forward a little bit more. I like this one better. So I like this compressor better than the 401 because the 401 is an LA2A style. It's a tube-based emulation. And on tubes, although they always sound great on bass, it tends to roll off the top end and smooth it out. And on this particular track, this particular bass recording, we wanted it to pop through the mix a little bit more, get a little bit more aggressive. So by using an 1176, which is a FET style, solid state style, it has a little bit more bite to it. So usually I don't use the FET compressors on a bass. Normally I use like something like an LA2 or a FG401 or a Fairchild because I want that nice roundness. But on this one, I want it to bite through and cut through more. So again, it's knowing, bringing us back to the beginning, it's knowing what you want the track to sound like, and then more importantly, well, what tool do you use, right? So we talk about stock plugins, third-party plugins, stock compressors, third-party compressors, and people say, well, they both do the same thing. And what I always try to tell people is, yes, you need to understand how to use your stock compressors first before you jump into something like third-party compressors, because if you don't understand it, it doesn't matter what tool you have, you can't use it effectively. But in a case like this, here's a great example. Now, if we use just a regular PreSonus or any old stock compressor, we would get one sort of tone and that would be it. It would compress, it would even out the performance, but tonally it would be the same. When you get into third-party compressors, here was a great example of the FG401 sounding one way, the red compressor, which is an LA2A tube-style compressor, and this 11170 FG116 1176 emulation, which is a FET-style compressor. They both compress just like that stock compressor would, but the FG401 and the 116 that we're looking at now sound completely different. And that's when you really start to understand, when you understand compression. I'm talking to my newbies. And this is why I always tell people, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and pick up Compression Made Easy if you have not done so already. It'll be the best $15 you've ever spent when it comes to mixing. You will learn that when you're listening to something like this bass and you go, what do I want to hear? I want to compress it, but I want it to do more than compress. We tried the FG401, sounded okay, but it was very subtle and it was very round sounding. Went to the blackface FG116 and all of a sudden now it cuts through the mix more because they react differently. And that's where these third-party compressors can be very, very helpful if you understand this concept that I'm sharing with you to try to know what you want out of it, not just from a compression perspective, but from a tonal perspective, and then knowing what tool, in this case, what compressor to use to achieve that goal. And this is a great example of that. Okay, so the FG401 is not as obvious as the FG116. Okay, so I hope that helps. And for my more intermediate and advanced students, again, I thank you for sitting through that. But whenever I create these products, I try to create them for the beginner. because I know that's the majority of my audience. And I'm trying to pass along more than just, here's what I did and walk away. I'm trying to explain these concepts as we go. And if you want even more explanation, if you like listening to me elaborate on these topics, then go check out the Made Easy series products, because those I spend a lot more time talking about these things. In the quick mix, I try to do these quickly because they are quick mixes. So anyway, that's our bass. Okay. Now let's go over to our electric guitars. So now the first